Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to more D&D Behind the Screen reactions. So, we've got the usual
Suspects.
Yes. So, we've got Kango.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Willis.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Mr. W.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Oh, there's a good... Okay.
Come back
And-
here. Come back here.
Jamie said that they will be late and to start without them. So...
Yeah.
They can
They're locked.
catch up on our reactions when the archive's up if they want
wish
to.
do so. Yeah, so in Twitch chat we've got shouters, of course. We've got Albastro916, Blue, hello. We've got Roomsbath and Willis1961 as well as myself. Roomsbath starting soon, yes. Roomsbath says, okay, hi, live. Roomsbath. Miss W, when you went, Roomsbath went, no. Yeah. Okay, so
That was intentional, I will say. I didn't accidentally
yeah,
disconnect.
of
You were
course.
toying with this.
of
It
course.
did seem like it was part of the joke. Anyway, right. So
1 second.
shall we begin?
I think-
Yeah,
Roomspath
I'm
says, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
may start.
So shall we start then?
Yeah, this one's a really, really short one.
This is.
We'll see.
So I'll just tell you what it is. This is GM Session 3 GM report right here. Okay. 4 minutes. Let's go.
Here we go.
I'm going to make this a bit quick because I don't have that much time because of the MVR stuff and other stuff, but also because I ran into Dryad back there. I'm not sure that she's happy with me using this technology in her woodland, so yeah, I'm going to make this a bit quick. So normally I watch through the live stream again to make notes, like bullet points of the things that I want to talk about in the report video. But last time there weren't that many things anyway, so I'm just gonna do it off the cuff. So, in general, I was very happy with how the session went. I enjoyed very much the teamwork between different players and how it all evolved and all of that stuff. I really very much enjoyed that. I made the decision to give the ballistas disadvantage because, I mean, they're not designed to hit something of that scale. So I think that was a good mix between an actually realistically justifiable action and a little bit of plot armor. Yeah, it was there was a bit of plot, but it's fine. It's fine. Trust me. Yeah. It wasn't terrible plot armor. I want to clarify that point. Terrible plot armor would have been they don't take any action and there's no chance of Ka getting hurt in this at all. Shifting the odds in Ka's favor in a realistic and justifiable manner, I think is fine. Also, I really enjoyed the jokes about the bard woman with the gauntlets, about her having a missing brother or other family member. I quite like that. Yeah, the session pretty much went how I thought it would. It took a bit longer. Actually, there's one bit that I maybe could have improved slightly, which was as Willis and Kango were sneaking up to rescue Ka, basically, I asked for quite a few perception checks and stealth checks, and I think that slowed down the session a bit and it became a bit tedious and confusing, and I think that could have been streamlined a bit retrospectively. We also decided that given that more than a quarter of the total estimated campaign length has now already elapsed, we are going to probably overrun the estimate, which isn't ideal considering that I want to, like, one of the main reasons for why I'm making the series is because some of the players in this game are starting to GM, and I want to give them a bit of a head start to hopefully give them a bit of a head start by showing them how I do things. But I mean, we're all having fun. And if I don't want to force things to go quickly, so we're probably, we're most likely going to overrun that time. And if we're going to do that anyway, then I have to maybe rethink some things about Mima's brother maybe still being there. I don't know, that's something for the planning phase. I do want to clarify, I am still going to push to try to speed things up a bit where possible.
Yeah, how'd that
But I'm
work
not
out?
going to try to force stuff to happen quickly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you can tell that this was a bit less planned than usual. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the preparation video for the next live stream. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So
Yeah.
for prep.
Hello, and welcome
Hello.
to this video on the second channel, which, as you probably already know, is the GM prep video for the fourth session of this campaign. So I have had a couple ideas. So the first one is just a reminder about the party perhaps going to the Dragon Eye, although originally I
Of the quality. That seems fine. Okay.
about the party perhaps going to the Dragon Eye, although originally I thought that it would be good for the party to at least go here to have a look at the items so that they can maybe buy a couple magic potions, or they can get an idea of how to break Mama's brother out of prison, or just that sort of stuff. Last time I mostly decided that Mama's brother isn't going to be in the prison anymore. Having this potion here, if they do link that to breaking Mama's
Oh,
And
brother
that
out of
goes
prison,
lady.
Ghost
Then-
lady. Did you notice that?
Wait,
Before.
hang on, I was doing something else. Go
Yeah,
on.
Ghost Lady, open the door in the background.
Look behind behind in the face
Oh,
cam.
yeah.
Behind Charis. Look.
that Mama's brother isn't going to be in the prison anymore. Having this potion here, if they do link that to breaking Mama's brother out of prison,
Oh.
then...
That's interesting.
Although last time I said that if they
Sure it
do
wasn't
try to
Anthony
bring Mama's
Sarson
brother
with
out of prison,
cookies?
then I will move him back to be there.
Yeah. Well.
Actually, it did smell surprisingly of cinnamon in that room afterwards, so maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably it then.
Last time I said that if they do try to bring Mama's brother out of prison, then I will move him back to be there. At the moment it's like Schrodinger's brother. I don't know if Schrodinger had a brother, but
Schrodinger's
if he
brother.
did, this is him. I think I do still want the party to go to the Dragon Eye and at least have a look at some of the items. So Sorum will probably tell them to maybe have a look at the Dragon Eye while it's already too late to set out for Veil Rift. Alea? Was that her name? Alea, yes. I'm gonna make her a level 1 bard. Actually, tell you what, I'll go through my notes now, just so that this makes sense context-wise. I was thinking that the stone entrance structures to the mini-dungeons, they have writing on it, which is in Deep Speech, which is the name of the language. Think of it as kind of a eldritch, Lovecraftian aberration language sort of thing. If they do take this woman along on the adventure towards Veil Rift to maybe convince the clerics there to lift the curse at a cheaper price or something, or maybe in return for something else, then that could be a way that she might be useful. I'm going to quickly go and write down, give her a bard level, so we'll see in a moment. After spending a little bit of time thinking about this, I have decided to give her the extra 2 skills that she would have. So Persuade and Deception both use Charisma, and they're both class skills, which means she adds her proficiency bonus, which is 2, and Charisma is 14, so that's a +2 from that mod, so +4 for each of those. I decided to give her the cantrips of Prestidigitation and Friends, which I think could be quite interesting if it comes up, especially if she maybe tries to use that on one of the players. Who knows? And for level 1 spells, I decided Comprehend Languages, for the reason I've already mentioned, Sleep, which I've given her in case they do want to try to break out Mama's brother from prison, if he does end up being there, then maybe them helping her get rid of the gauntlets might mean that she then helps with sleep spells and that sort of stuff, considering that she wanted to leave the island anyway to go back to her family. Maybe she wouldn't be too worried about upsetting the local authority. Featherfall next. Yeah, it's a good spell to have. And then Cure Wounds as well. I was debating whether or not to put Cure Wounds, because if she does go along, and again, this is just an idea that I've had that she might go along. This isn't anything that is set in stone by any means. I mean, even they might not even decide to talk with her, or they might just have a little word with her and say, okay, well, yeah, we'll come back after we've finished our current stuff, and then if you're still here, then we might help you, or something like that. And then none of this would matter for ages, or maybe even ever. But in case she does go along, I thought that if I have too much healing magic in the group, then any threats, any monsters, or something like that, would have to be more dangerous to maintain the same actual level of threat. But then I thought that, well, the danger should feel more dangerous, more lethal than it actually is. So, I mean, the group doesn't know that she's got Cure Wounds.
Hello,
And
Energy.
Hello. We're already live.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, the group doesn't know that she's got Cure Wounds. And if things do go badly and she uses it, then I don't really think anybody's going to be upset that their character got healed. Originally, I wanted to give her Bardic Inspiration, which is a special ability that you can use, I'm not sure how many times, it's a certain number of times per day, I don't remember exactly how many times, but it gives another character a d6 to add to an ability check or an attack roll or something like that. But I thought that it might be interesting to not give her that, because, I mean, with player characters, of course, they would have that because for balance reasons, but if she's an NPC, then who is to say that she's already gained all of her level 1 bardic abilities? I mean, if the story is that she was quite new, doing magic, tricks and that sort of stuff for the villagers around, and then a merchant told her about this magic item, the Divine Lie of Persuasion, to find on this island, and then the ship, and that whole story, if that all happened, she would still be really quite new to all this, and mostly self-taught. So it could be quite interesting, I think, for her to not have this ability. And then I also gave her leather armor and a dagger. These are items which are at the Crash and Snore where she's staying, so obviously she doesn't have that on her because she's just wearing that revealing dress. And then I chose a dagger because a dagger is a finesse weapon, which means that you can use your dex modifier for the attack rolls instead of your strength modifier, which for her is quite useful considering she's got a strength score of 9, which will be a -1 modifier, but a dex score of 12, which would be a +1 modifier. Right, so I was thinking about how Sodom might get the party to leave the road to go into the woods to get to this mini-dungeon. I was thinking that maybe it's a complex of mini-dungeons, so you've got, for each different kind of school of magic or kind of magic user, you have, Zintar has one separate mini-dungeon. It's just like this octagon, like of stone bricks, this octagon of straight walls, and then just a slanted roof that goes to a point. It's just a little entrance with a staircase going down or something like that. So how does Sodom lead the party over to that? Because as they're going to find his brother, he's just saying, actually, could we go off into the woods for a bit? But that doesn't work. Plus it's only a day's journey, so Sodom's brother Pral wouldn't have needed to rest for the night to find shelter or something like that. Unless, of course, you say it's raining, but then that seems a little far-fetched. So, instead, I looked through the list of deities online, the official Forgotten Realms deities, and I found a halfling deity of Sirolali, who is the halfling goddess of family, trust, and peace, and that sort of thing. And so I was thinking, maybe, as they were going, even before they set out, so that it doesn't seem any more suspicious, Sodom would say there was a little bit of a falling out between Pral and his wife, and that Pral, as he was going past near where the shrine is, he would have maybe left the road to pray at her shrine, so that peace comes back to his family, and trust is restored. Again, those little entrance structures, there's a little mini dungeon for each different kind of magic user or school of magic, and they've all got a number above them, like engraved into the stone, so that the people maintaining these, the minions maintaining these, it would be easier to direct them to which one they need to maintain, and that they are similar to what Elia was led down into, because if you recall, her story is that she found a party on this island, who were the people receiving her on Synthos minions, who led her down into one of these mini dungeons as a preliminary kind of test of her powers. She didn't die, but she definitely failed. The specific structure that she went into, I don't think would be in this complex, because this is specifically for wizards, and the different schools of magic wizards have, but maybe a couple of miles in the same area or something like that. Although who knows, could have been somewhere else. The next thing is that when they get to the shrine, which, the way I'm picturing it, yeah, it would just be a pretty nondescript statue of a goddess, maybe even a goddess, who knows, which our cleric, I'm assuming that he's got knowledge religion, I'm not entirely sure, but he might be able to roll to see if that actually is Ciro Lale or not, in which case, no, it's just a pretty generic shrine, which is another little potential hint that things might not be as they seem. Then Sorum finds a cufflink from his brother's outfit at the entrance of one of those shrines, which is the shrine of the divination school, and that's then what brings him to go in. As for the interior of this shrine, because of I don't have really much time, I think I'm just going to improvise the interior layout. I'm just going to draw it on a new screen in Roll20, just with the built-in tools, like you would if you had a battle map on a physical table and you'd draw it in as the players go. But I did have one idea for it can't be a lock. So the idea was to have a series of rooms behind each other, where each room has a locked stone door, and there are 20 there's like a shelf of stone, and there are 20 kind of trays set into it, and there is a dice, a d20, and each tray has a number above it. The solution is that you've got to roll the die in one of those trays, and it has to roll the number that is above the tray. If that happens, then the door opens. If it doesn't happen, well, then the entrance door shuts.
I knew it.
And
We all get electrocuted.
something bad happens.
Just want to say I knew it. I told you so.
That's
Yeah. You could have used one of your numbers to roll the proper
I
number.
could,
The
but
one-
you think he...
I told you
The
and no
one-
one listened.
the thing that got you to unmute is to say I told you so.
Yeah.
Complaining about me, yes.
No one listened and we could have got this easy peasy, but no.
Yeah.
What's up? Hello, Boomscraft in chat. Okay, mwah.
Blue's also here.
Oh, no, don't know. Blue.
Okay.
Joking, baby. Love you.
Right?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Sorum's imaginary brother have a real wife or an imaginary wife?
She was probably just as real to Prowl as he was to himself. Let's put it that
Mr.
way.
Snipes says, throw him in the brig.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
Mr. Snipes, hello.
It's been a while.
Hey, hey.
Hello. Rimmersbath also greets him. Welcome. Okay, let's continue.
Yes.
And the entrance door shuts, and I don't know, something bad happens. So it could be something as simple as a stored spell. Yeah, I think that might be the best solution, because that also doesn't require any cleanup afterwards. So, although maybe that's interesting. Maybe that's an interesting thing. Maybe it should require cleanup, and that's a hint that this place is being maintained. Some mechanism, a magic item in the ceiling, it's hidden away. If you get it wrong, then the spell goes off. I'm going to have a look at the list of spells to figure out what that is exactly. But anyway, so if you get it right, then the door opens to the next room. And I was thinking maybe having like 4 of these rooms in sequence. Now, the idea behind this is that a divination wizard, like Mr. W's character is, has the ability, depending on the level, to substitute any die roll, any d20 roll,
Yeah,
with one that...
Rub it in.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
Because
Rub it
the
in.
thing is, each one of those little mini dungeon entrances, we saw different ones as you went through the forest to get to this one. Each one has been specifically designed by Zinthar to test a wizard depending on his or her school. So specifically those magic powers. Which,
And
of
do you,
course,
and do you remember what I said? I can't remember if it was in private or if it was in the stream. I think I said something along the lines of I don't believe he'd make such a specific mechanic to a class.
yeah, and on an
Which even in camp, which not just like it would make sense for you, but in campaign it makes sense as to why it's specific to the character.
I mean, if it were just on an out of character level, then yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put in a challenge that just so happens to be perfectly suited to one of your characters through just random chance. But in this specific case, which of course you had no way of knowing,
It makes sense.
Yeah.
In the campaign.
Oh, I did.
Well, you
No,
knew that
no.
Zinthar was behind this.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I wanted to
Why
make
didn't
it
you
challenging
tell
for
us?
the
Why
rest of
didn't you
you.
stop
That's why my laptop disappeared for an hour and a half that one time. You were checking the notes.
I was checking the notes and then I went on Facebook. I do apologize.
ruining your
By the way, how did that cufflink appear in the woods for him to find allegedly?
I assume you put it there before.
Threw it.
Did
Probably had
he
it in his
put it there
pocket and then he
before?
threw it.
Well,
He had it in his pocket the whole time.
yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Okay. All
Like
right.
me with my pencil. I told you about that story, didn't
I don't know.
I? I lost my pencil. Well, I quote unquote lost my pencil in primary school.
Oh yeah, I remember. I
Yeah.
remember that.
And
yeah.
I just threw it. That's what he did.
Probably. Okay.
They've previously, at the beginning of the day, as a player, rolled. So when Mr. W re-rolls those 2 dice at the beginning of the next day, so before they get here, then as they get here, Mr. W can then just say, okay, well actually I rolled a 7 this morning, a 7 and a 9, so I'm going to roll this in-game die in the tray by the 7, that has the 7 above it, and I'm going to substitute the 7 that I previously rolled with that one, and so then it rolls 7. And then the door opens. And
I wonder,
so
how
that's
would
kind of
that
a test
spell
of power to
work
see.
in the actual D&D world?
Hmm?
How would that spell work in the actual D&D world?
Well,
Like
your-
magic?
the way that the way I see that ability working is, well, it's divination. So your character can feel or foresee parts of the future.
Oh, okay, so it's
So-
predicting it.
Yeah, well, that's what divination is.
Hmm.
So Arkan would could have used this magical energy that he has access to a limited amount of per day to see or feel a vision of the future as to what number the die will land on, and then based on that choose which tray to roll it in.
But like,
It's like sitting there going, I'm going to roll an 11. I better throw him in the 11 bucket.
well, yeah, but like, I also mean like in general, not specifically this example. Is it just like projecting the future and going, okay, I need to do this to make this happen, and that's what I want to happen? I assume
Yeah,
so.
kind of. Yeah, which are like a feeling of, if I try to do this. So if for example, if you have a really high number or a really low number stored, then I guess your character just has a vision of the future, a feeling of the future, if a particular action will turn out good or bad, which then mechanically happens by you substituting the roles. That's how I would read that. Hello, Elisa VGR. Welcome.
Hello, Poof. Yes, hello.
Poof, indeed.
Right, so let's continue.
Go.
And then the door opens. And so that's kind of a test of power to see just how much this divination wizard can either influence or know fate in this particular mechanical way. And each room must have a bit of a reward, so that the urge is there to continue going, because otherwise there wouldn't be a good test. Also, these mini dungeons would have been built about less than a year ago, since the Beholder's only really been here for about 2 years or so, I think I said. So yeah, I will write down a bit of that. I'll figure out what spell I want to load in, and then we'll carry on. I've written that, well, first of all, it's going to be number 2 for the divination school, simply because, well, that's the second school that's listed in the PHB, but that's just a little hint. Nobody will likely get that, but it's just a little thing, since I was
No, I didn't get it.
And Sorum will...
You weren't intended to. It would have been... I would have been extraordinarily surprised if anyone had actually gotten that. It wasn't supposed to be an actual genuine clue, of course. It was more so for myself.
Mm-hmm. BGR says, Elisa, in a couple of weeks we're shipping to Penacony.
I see.
Alright.
Little thing, since I was numbering them anyway. And Sorum will stay outside to keep watch, and he'll come down if they're not back in an hour, because of course Sorum, who's leading them into these dangerous situations, knows it's dangerous and doesn't want them to go in doesn't want himself to be put in danger. So he's gonna wait outside.
Yeah, the little snake.
Now that isn't going to be suspicious, really, because I mean, that's why he was waiting for adventurers in the first place, to help him, because he's not good at those sorts of situations. So yeah. So then, I've not made a map, but I've kind of written it down in stages a little bit. So, if you go in, you go down the stairs, you get to a side room with a sequence of 2 small chambers with dice trays, and I've decided to make this 2, because I know Mr. W has 2 of those dice, so a first level divination wizard would have 2 dice, basically, whatever form that takes in universe. And I want the party to be able to completely explore this mini dungeon. And so if there were more than these 2 small chambers with dice trays, unless they wanted to long rest within these chambers to then get the dice back and then continue rolling, they wouldn't be able to do that unless they wanted to try to get lucky, in which case we get to, well, we'll get to in a moment. So yeah, 2 chambers with these dice trays, each containing 20 gold pieces, which are minted within the last year. Another little clue, if they inspect the coins, that this is a maintained structure. This isn't some abandoned tomb. This is an actually maintained structure with a purpose. Yes, that's beyond each locked door. And then on a fail, so if they did roll the die wrong, which I hope they don't, but if they do, then the entrance door shuts, and a thunder wave is triggered from the ceiling. Now,
big time failure.
Actually,
yep.
Yeah, so that can happen once per day, just because otherwise whatever magic item is in the ceiling would be very overpowered. But yeah, so once per day, thunder wave gets triggered, so that's 2d8 damage. If you succeed on a con, so 2d8 damage in a 15-foot cube. I actually need to write that down. 15-foot damage. Yeah, well, no, 28. 2d8 damage in 15-foot cube, and then a con save succeeds. Now the save DC would be, what would that be? Because this is assuming that it's cast by a magic user. Okay, so after looking it up in the PHB, since this is a level 1 wizard spell, the DC of the wizard, I'm just going to use the DC of a wizard that would cast the spell. So it'd be 8 plus the proficiency bonus, which would be 2 if it's a first level wizard, or even a few levels higher, plus the intelligence modifier. So I think having a con save with a DC of. Well, I mean, as a wizard, especially with a wizard who can put these spells into this magic item, I'd say maybe DC of 14 might be good. So that would mean an intelligence of 14 or 15, because then the mod would be 2 to add to the 10 from the 8 plus the proficiency bonus. Like, I'm trying to think, is this too dangerous? Because if like, worst case scenario, everybody goes into the room, and actually let me quickly have a look at our characters, and I want to see what amounts of HP they have, because 16 damage is the... Actually, that's the wrong one. 16 damage is the maximum that this can deal. Okay, where is it? Okay, well, Arkan has 19 hit points, so that can't be an insta-kill. Then Brakigan, Marmal, has... 24 HP. Oh, right, we're not dealing with level 1 characters. Okay. Yeah, I'm so... Yeah, sorry, I was... In my thoughts, I was thinking of dealing with level 1 characters, but no, these are level 3 characters, so yeah, that's fine.
That's good.
Ka has hit points 20, and Mima Phalor has hit points 13. So Mima, it could knock out.
One shot.
But the others
Bam.
not, if they're at maximum hit points when they go in.
Yeah.
Not that isn't necessarily a thing to always try to avoid, to make it impossible, of course.
Yeah, but death
But
is...
I want it to feel more dangerous than it actually is.
yeah, a character doesn't necessarily die if they go to 0. It's just
They're
that's just
unconscious.
unconscious, and then they...
Yeah, and they start making death saves.
Yeah.
Isn't it when they're below 0?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think
Oh.
I think
I
it is.
think
I think
0
0
is
is just unconscious,
unconscious.
and then if they're negative,
Well, like,
then they're
So-
dying. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think it's if they hit the equivalent of their max HP in minus, then
They're dead.
then they immediately die. I believe so. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. That's what I've heard with Pathfinder. I'm
Well,
not sure
with
D&D.
with Pathfinder, it's the Constitution score as a negative value.
Oh,
right.
I see.
I'm not sure how 5th
That
edition
makes
handles it.
I don't know. Okay.
So that can be a once per day thing, and
Sorry.
feel more dangerous than it actually is. So that can be a once per day thing, and the die is destroyed. So the die that's used to roll in trays is destroyed. Okay, so a few things with this. One, the die. There's another hint that this is an actively maintained thing because the die is replaced, is restocked, basically, every time after it fails or whatever. Okay, the door shuts. Now, is there a way of opening that door from the inside? Now, with Sorum being outside, he'd be able to open the door with whatever lever or whatever is used to open the door. Actually, I need to write that down. But is there a way of opening it from the inside? Actually, you know what? No. Because originally I had a skeleton in there because I didn't have a way for the door to open, and with the damage thing, so someone died in here. But if this is being restocked, then they would have probably cleared that out. So, no, there's no way of opening the door on the inside. So now I need to look up what the different... because they might just try attacking the door to try to break through if they don't want to wait for Sorum. So I need to figure out what the AC and hit points and resistances and stuff like that, how that works with doors, because I don't know how that works in
AC.
5th edition.
Yeah.
So I'll do that in a moment. And the
I
other way of
outsmarted
doing
you
was-
on that one.
On a
Obviously-
static object.
Well, that's how it works in Pathfinder. In Pathfinder, objects and materials have ACs, which
No, I mean,
represents...
I outsmarted
Well,
you
yeah,
on
with
that
a
one by
log,
propping
yeah.
the door open.
Yeah, but Mr.
Yeah.
W, like in Pathfinder, you do, if you want to break it down a door, for example, then it's got a basic AC of whatever, and then whatever material it's made of modifies that, which also adjusts how many hit points it has. So the AC
Yeah.
represents how resistant the object is to taking damage in the first place.
Right. Okay.
Shredders, you're a bit quiet.
Says Roomspath.
Well, I can maybe...
It was a stone
Is
door,
that a bit better?
Okay.
That might be a bit better.
Fine, it's fine.
Okay. VGR says, you may or may not hear from me for some time. Roomspath, yes. Okay. Lisa, in the meantime, Dr. Ratio has expressed his wish to add a couple of things to our ride from outer space.
Okay.
Dr. Ratio, quite a name. Roomspot says thanks. Okay, let's continue. What?
Stuff like that, how that works with doors, because I don't know how that works in 5th edition. So I'll do that in a moment. And the other way of going, because obviously, if Pral just went in here for shelter, then he wouldn't have gone through these rooms. But so I want there to be another way to go. But I think there are, if I put in enough clues that there's something off about this place, I think that's enough for Sorum to then say, look, I have proof that my brother was here, I've got this cufflink. It's a lie, but of course it's a lie, but I've got this cufflink, so there has to be a clue in here. I want you to, I can pay you extra, but I want you to clear this place out so that we can find out what happened. If he was taken, if there was an ambush, if whatever happened, there've got to be more clues here. I want you to clear it out. And I think that's probably enough to get the party to actually try to go through these chambers, even if Pral wouldn't have gone in there to hide or shelter or whatever. So when you go downstairs, on the side is those 2 chambers, the sequential chambers, but I also want there to be a trapdoor with a ladder going down that has a couple of chambers with some monsters in there. My idea was that there would be these feeding tubes that come in from the surface, just these little tubes. They would be hidden on the surface, but they're to feed the monsters down there, and the monsters would have to be something mindless. And so I'm going to have a quick look. So I'm going to write down, I'm going to research how the door stuff works, breaking through doors, and I'm going to have a look through the monster manual to find an appropriate monster, or maybe sets of monsters. Maybe if there are, actually maybe that's a good idea, maybe having 4 rooms, so 2 by 2 chambers, and each one of those contains a specific monster, and they're separated with doors, and there's no other way to go there. It's just these monsters in this room, and there's no lore reason for why they would be here naturally or anything like that, because of course this is all staged. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll be back with you in a moment. After looking through the DMG, so I'm new to 5th edition, and so I wanted to do it by the book, but I couldn't find any rules for how hard it is to break down certain types of doors. Like, for example, a rotting door, or a wooden door, a reinforced door, a stone door, an iron door, or any of that, or a portcullis. I couldn't find any rules for that, which quite surprised me, because I do believe that in Pathfinder there is a table for that.
Yeah, there are other tables.
The music.
But apparently not in 5th edition.
That's perfect.
I looked online and I found on Reddit a post about D&D where someone asked that question. But then it told me that I need to log in. Either I'm going to say I'm under 18 or I need to log in. No, Reddit. I'm not going to do that. So, well, it's a stone door, so I guess the point is moot, because...
Oh, has the stream stopped?
What's
Yes,
happened?
it has stopped. I thought you paused it.
Sorry, what happened?
It looks like
It stopped.
delay.
Oh, you paused it.
Are we back?
Yeah,
I
well,
paused it now.
well, before the stream was experiencing a bit of delay.
Oh, right.
Should I rehost
Apparently.
it? It still has the warning on there.
Yeah, I'll try
I'll
rehosting it
rehost
quickly.
it. You're back. Screen. Hopefully that'll be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like what is essentially a forum space to be locked behind an account or
An
something
account,
like that.
yeah.
Make a throwaway count. That's what I do.
Yeah, nah. Not unless there's no other way around it.
Okay, so it seems a bit.
You can do stuff on. So what was this? What was it stopping you from viewing?
Reddit. If you
Yeah, it was
scroll
just-
down too far,
Yeah.
it,
If you scroll
it says you
down.
need a.
Yeah, it was like you go onto a Reddit post, and the first 2 messages, yeah, look here. Oh, but if you want to read more, no, you're gonna have to log in. No,
Ugh.
like if it's
No,
something,
he's
if it's
aggressively shaking his mouth.
yeah, well,
That's mine.
that yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to support that.
That's fair.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's continue.
But then it told me that I need to log in. Either I'm going to say I'm under 18
Yeah, we
or
did
I
get
need to
this
log
part
in.
already.
Yeah.
No, Reddit. I'm not going to do that. So, it's a stone door, so I guess the point is moot, because if they were to break it down, the way I'm going to rule it is to even have a chance of breaking it down, they would have to have the appropriate tools, so like a pickaxe, for example, or a stone chisel with a hammer or something like that, and it would take them definitely longer than an hour.
Sorry?
Something with bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, supposedly.
Or something like that, and it would take them definitely longer than an hour in which Sorum would come down to open the door for them. So that point is moot.
Oh, I'll read that out. On second thought, I might let Brack use his entrenching tool to break down the door with a high enough strength check. After all, these weren't tombs built to last millennia. Zinthar had to get these built fast, and so having a thinner door might make sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
The tense music.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
On second thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I did actually have this in long enough so that you can actually read it
Yeah.
while it is playing.
Although it
Just
was
use the
interesting
pausing.
research experience. Right, next monsters. I still have to have a look at the monster manual. I'll be back with you in a moment. That's interesting. Carrion crawler. Maybe. Oh, although it says the target is paralyzed. The target can repeat the saving throw. Okay, so that doesn't seem very fun, especially if this is the first bit of action that we've got, because imagine that, they go down, there's a monster, I don't know, some of my players might be looking forward to more action and getting to use some of their character's abilities, and then it's slap you with a tentacle, and now you're paralyzed and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
It's all right.
Let's
We
have
ran away
let's
before we
continue
even
looking
saw the
through this bit.
monster.
Right, dark mantles.
It's actually it's
know
fun.
that?
But yeah, because it wasn't it actually only the NPC
snake.
who saw the.
Sorum?
Yeah, because Sorum looked down the hatch and saw the monsters.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
I remember that,
only-
yeah.
It might have been
think Mima
Yeah, I
may
think
have looked
I think
down as
Mima.
well.
Yeah, I think because you helped open the thing.
I think so.
Yeah. but at least I put thought into it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, well done.
Well, it's funny. This is your prep for going into the thing at session 4, and it's like we didn't get to it till like what, session 8? like 6
maybe.
months later.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, yeah, that sounds a bit like it, but we'll see.
Okay. Right.
And getting to use some of their character's abilities, and then it's slap you with a tentacle, and now you're paralyzed and you can't do anything. That's not fun. So let's continue looking through this a bit. Right, dark mantles. Where's the attacks? Oh right, it's on the side on these ones, yeah. Attack +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, 1d6 +3 bludgeoning damage. If the target is medium or smaller, the dark mantle has advantage on the attack roll. It attaches by engulfing the target's head, and the target is also blinded. Okay. Yeah, you can get rid of it by a successful DC 13 strength check. Darkness aura once per day. A 15-foot radius of magical darkness. Blah blah blah. Dark vision can't penetrate this darkness, and no natural light can illuminate it. Yeah, I think that is interesting. Okay, I don't have that much time left. Yeah, I think I might just have to come up with the rest of these tomorrow before the session, and then you'll just see what I've chosen based on what they find, if they even get there. I mean, the likelihood of them getting there next session is admittedly rather low, but maybe. I'm just looking through. Maybe there's what was that? Grip. Multi-attack. The grip makes one attack with its tentacles. If the target hits, blah, blah, blah. 2d6 +2 slashing damage, and then if that hits, the beak is 1d6 +2 piercing damage. So -3 intelligence. It's got Yeah, because I don't want the players to talk to these, because that's not what Zinthar would have envisioned. Although it does have damage resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons, which means that we'd mostly really be relying on
Yeah, if you could pause for a second.
spellcasters to do.
I'm not sure if I actually end up mentioning this in one of the videos. Might have forgotten about it. But one idea that I also had, which could have been fun to explore if this had been a larger campaign, is the places where Zinthar breeds these monsters to then use to restock these things. Imagine exploring the world and just maybe following some bands of his minions, like lower level monsters, and imagine just following a shipment of some weird food mixture in these barrels, like monster food. Yeah, and then following that trail and finding this massive underground monster breeding facility.
Is that what the dead deer was?
That was the food for these monsters.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
But not
to go there.
I
not
see.
for the breeding, but to go down the feeding tubes for the monsters that are already stocking these mini dungeons, so that they're kept alive. So yeah, but that's what that was for. Yes.
Interesting. Although it would have been interesting if we could have talked to the monsters and just engaged in conversation, then eventually they just join the party.
Well, it would have been interesting.
Okay.
Would have been interesting.
All right.
That we'd mostly really be relying on the spellcasters to do a lot of the work, because damage resistance halves damage dealt to the creature. Although I might just, if I like the idea of this creature, I might just reduce its hit points or something like that. Maybe 13 hit points. Right, so I think that's pretty good. Not that much today, but yeah, I've got to go now. So I'll see you tomorrow for the live stream. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, we talk to the monsters and say, hey, we're going to break you out and free you from being trapped in this dungeon. And would you like a snack? There's Sorum over there.
Prowl couldn't make it.
Aw. Well, I mean, actually, this is gonna be really fun watching how you all react with the next game that we do now after seeing all these videos. But see, the thing is, now I know that you know how I do these things. So
We'll always be suspicious.
So you'll be introducing missing sisters instead.
well, no, every single thing in the next game will just all be genuine and completely true without any sort of deception. And the more you uncover to actually be true, the more paranoid you're gonna get that the next thing is gonna be the first false thing, but there's never gonna be any.
Looking forward to that.
But now you know that plan, so anyway.
Who knows?
So we know that you know that we know that you know.
Yes, precisely.
And look at that evil grin.
Aww.
Oh.
Well.
Okay,
Your face was very sculptured there.
so this is session 4 GM report. 15 minutes. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to the GM Report video for the 4th live stream. Now, for this video, I'm not really going to be walking much, mainly because the ground is quite muddy, as you may or may not be able to see down there. And so I don't want to be focusing on this and on this and on...
As you pan down and you're up to your knees.
Yeah, I mean...
slowly sinking further.
That would prevent me from walking much, yes.
Just throughout the entire video, just slowly sink. Okay.
I don't want to be focusing on this and on this and on this, and then not focus on that and on that and on that and that. Well, specifically that. So
The Dryad is trying to trap you.
yeah, not that much to talk about this time. First thing is, when they were in the Scaly Shine Tavern and Willis asked for the menu, well, Willis' character Brack Egan asked for the menu, that was something I hadn't prepared, so I just made it up on the spot. Now, I could have said that she gives you the menu. I don't have that prepared. She gives it to you. Your character has that knowledge, even though I don't have that available to tell you. And that would have been fine. But in
I
this
could have made up my
specific
own meal.
instance, I did want to drop the first hint at Vij Utral. So Vij Utral, which is the elven city, which the players... This is the first time the players have heard of it. And so I wanted an opportunity to drop that hint. And I thought, sure, why not here? This is a good place as any. And so I dropped that little hint. It wasn't picked up on. At least I don't think so.
It's so
But
useless.
that's okay.
Nope.
The second thing is, I decided to put in an open clue about the hunts recently not going very well. When Brack asked for meat. And I originally left that as an open clue. I didn't really know what to connect that to, or if I wanted to connect it to anything. But now I think it might be a good connection to the mini dungeons, because if you remember in the previous prep video,
If you can
I
think
talked
that far
about how the Beholder has these mini dungeons which he has stocked with monsters, and those monsters are fed through feeding tubes. And so I thought, actually, and this I thought retrospectively, that this might be a good way of connecting that, because it would be really suspicious for the Beholder's minions to buy all of this meat, all of this food, which doesn't then go anywhere that is known about. And so instead, mostly they rely on hunting, and then that hunted food is what then gets fed to the monsters. And so I think that might be a good connection there. Maybe not though, who knows?
The dungeon monster's
Next
got my steak.
is one of two
Yes,
instances
basically.
in this session where I...
And you didn't even take revenge.
That might be a good connection
I'm
there.
going back there tomorrow.
Sure.
Maybe not though, who knows? Next is one of two instances in this session where I used two fake dice rolls. Now, what is a fake dice roll? It's when I roll a die or I ask for a skill check or something, and the result of the die roll doesn't matter. And
That's evil.
I usually don't use these because if I were to use them all the time, then the players would know that, would notice that, and then anytime I actually want to use them, well, use the die rolls properly, then, well, people will think it's just another time I'm using fake dice rolls. So use them sparingly, but they are a good tool. Now,
Is that
why
when I
did
was
decide to use them here?
listening?
Because
Listening to the rumors in the bar, and you had me roll, and I rolled a low number, so I didn't hear anything, but then I did hear stuff anyway?
I don't think so. I don't actually remember what the specific instance of that was, but I'm sure I'll talk about it in the video.
Because when I was in the tavern where they were out shopping, and I was like listening to the people, and you had me roll, and I rolled like a 6 or an 8 or something really low, but then and I said, oh, I guess I didn't hear anything, and they said, well, yeah, you did kind of hear the rumors about the matriarch missing or off visiting her cousin or on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan or whatever.
I'm not sure.
You'll probably mention it now, what they were.
Yeah. Because this was so long ago, I genuinely don't remember what I specifically used those for, but I'm sure I'll mention it.
I just watched the stream just before this.
All right. Okay, we'll see.
just another time I'm using fake dice rolls. So use them sparingly, but they are a good tool. Now, why did I decide to use them here? Because I wanted to artificially create a little bit of a sense of tension, because, well, they're still in the city. It's a safe space, and I wanted the shopping episode to have a little bit of a tiny bit of a sense of tension or uncertainty or something like that. And so the first instance where I used one of these fake dice rolls is when Ka was flying down to see if he could get Brack to come to the baths as well. And so in that, I made Emichu roll a percentile die at D100, and the result was really good, but that doesn't matter. Because I wanted the players to have a shopping episode, so I didn't want the party to be interrupted by the guard. Now, originally, I did have it planned so that one of the scale guard would recognize them, and then either they'd be kicked out of town, or then they'd go to the prison, where they then are interviewed, in air quotes, and then that gets the players on track. But since I'm no longer trying to speed things up to that extent, that is no longer necessary, and I wanted the players to just have a nice shopping session, to enjoy some more parts of the city, and to get the feeling that this place is alive and breathing. So, yeah, it didn't matter what that die roll was. Now, I do remember that it was high. I think it was 96 or something like that. Which means if in the next session or whenever, when I do want an actual roll to see if they happen to encounter one of the scale guards or something like that, and I ask for a percentile check, then it'll have to be low for the check to actually work out that way, for them to actually encounter a scale guard. So I am keeping that in mind. It's just this particular roll didn't actually impact what happened. But it hopefully made the players think, oh, there's a roll here. Maybe something could happen here. Which is what fake rolls are for. Again, use them very sparingly. Otherwise, any roll you make is assumed to be a fake roll, and then you'll be in trouble. So, the next thing is... actually, I do want to say, I do think the session went really well. I'm really happy with it. The next thing is, the players can't do everything that they want. And this is quite an important one, because if you start letting the players get away with stuff that you didn't actually want to be that way, but you let it slide, that sort of thing, then that sets a precedent. And then it's really hard to then go back on yourself and say, well, I know I let your characters do these things, or I let you as players do these things, but actually I don't want that, I don't like that, and so please don't do that anymore. That can be really hard. And so I think it's important to set the right precedent to begin with. And so in this specific instance, with Mima, when they went to the baths, and the high elf, told them about the kind of the trained meditation bards that play during meditation sessions. I thought I heard footsteps, but I think that was just a squirrel or bird or something. Mima asked, oh, I am proficient with this instrument. Could I maybe play for people here and earn a bit of money? And I think she asked about the money part, but it doesn't matter. Now, it would be really easy to say, yes, sure, my player wants to do this thing, so I, of course, want to let my players do the things that they think would be fun to do. But that isn't a good idea for the health of the group and for the health of the game. And so I said, no, that's not going to work like that. If you're a bard who's trained in the art of meditation support, kind of, because it's not just the music, it's also the magical aspect of a bard's performance that is what plays into the whole meditation thing. And so I said, no, you can't do that. But I do try to open up another door. So I close that door, but I try to open up another door, which in this case is the High Elf suggesting that Mima could go down to the harbour or to the market square or something, or play there instead. So, yeah. The next thing is sort of related to setting precedents or stuff like that, which is if something... So, if you're the GM, then you as the GM are the one who sets the bar when it comes to what is okay at the table and what is not okay at the table. And so if there's something happens that you're not comfortable with, and this could be a player's choices, or it could be any number of things. Murder hobos. And then you need to immediately make it clear that you're not okay with this thing, and that you want it, depending on what it is, either no, this doesn't fly, or well, maybe we could pull that in a little bit. That was a bit too much. And in this specific case, there was an instance in this where it was one of those latter cases, which is when they were talking, they were telling jokes, and Willis told a joke in the moment that I felt went a bit too far. I'm not going to repeat the joke here. If you want to know what it is, you can watch the live stream again. And all I did was say, I think that's a bit far. Yeah, and I think I repeated it after the stream as well, that joke was a little bit far. Just a gentle nudge that maybe is a bit of a boundary to not cross, hopefully. But it wasn't anything too bad. It's just important to gently push on these things right when they occur, basically. And it wasn't a terrible joke either. It was just something that I didn't feel completely comfortable with. Anyway, so... right, next thing is, the evening at the pub, well, at the tavern, went really, really well. And that was such a sweet, peaceful moment where the characters could just show off and show, okay, I'm good at this, and this went well, and this was a fun night, and yeah, everything's good. And so I think that deserves a little bit of continuity. So, because there were a lot of people in that pub who, for example, saw Carr dance with a natural 20, and so maybe when they're out in the streets in the next couple of days or something, maybe someone recognizes Carr and gives a compliment. Or maybe if they're in trouble, maybe if a scale card does stop them, maybe someone will say, "Oh, I saw your dad," or I don't know, maybe even be an alibi, like a fake alibi, saying, "Oh yes, no, we were at the pub. We spent the day in town," just because they were so impressed by the dance that they want to return the favor, or something like that. Next thing is I improv'd a slight rule, which is how much money Mima generated by playing with the band, which I think I gave a bit too much, but I didn't have time to look up the proper rule in the book, and so I had to improvise a rule. I said a d6 of gold, which probably was a bit too much considering other rules. I don't want to get into it, but when you do that, it's important because you will do that, unless you want to completely break the momentum of the session. You will do that, and it's a good thing. But it's also important to make it clear that this is an improvised rule, and that your ruling on it may change in the future when you either think about it or when you look up the proper rule in the book. This is a ruling for now, not a ruling for the entire game. And so just saying, I don't know the rule, so I'll improvise it, this is what I'll say for now. Because then, if you don't do that, if you just improvise a rule and then you treat it... Because I mean, this goes back to a thing that I said in the previous report video, which is about how easy it is to feel like you have to be perfect as the GM, and you put up this facade of everything's planned out, everything works flawlessly, and this is all something you've accounted for, and you're master of the game. And so when you need to improvise a rule, that can play into it. So then it's easy to feel that this rule that I improvised in the moment is now written in stone, it's carved in stone, it has to stay that way. But it doesn't. Just say, this is a rule I'm improvising now, may change in the future. And if it seems fair to everybody, then you're good. I think there's a dog coming.
Either that or reindeer.
The last thing is that the second roll that was a fake roll is the passive perception check I asked for people's passive perception scores when they went into the rooms. And that was just a little bit of tension. Like, maybe there's something that can be perceived here. Maybe somebody messed with their stuff. Maybe somebody's observing them, that sort of thing. Just for a little bit of tension in this otherwise quite peaceful session. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, not much to prepare for the next session, considering that pretty much all the things that I had previously prepared we didn't actually get to, which is fine. It was a great session. So yeah, just a few tiny bits, but yeah, I'll see you then. So, playlist in the description, by the way, on both the live streams and videos, of course. So, bye-bye.
Yeah, so it wasn't... The fake roll wasn't with the information that you'd gotten, Willis. I think with that, I might have... I don't remember exactly now, but I think what might have happened is I made you roll for it. You rolled fairly low, and maybe initially I would have not wanted to give you that much, but then I might have remembered that we don't have that many sessions, and I should probably drop more information rather than less, and then I might have changed my mind and have given you some clues anyway, even though you rolled lower than what I would have originally wanted you to roll for. I think that might have been what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to drop a few more hints to try to move us on our way.
Well, not necessarily move you on your way, but give you enough information to actually do the things that you want to do when you get to wherever you're going.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see that these videos are getting a lot shorter now.
Because we aren't using any of the stuff that you prepped.
Well, yeah.
Okay, session.
But there's always much more, at least with my games, there's always much more prep that doesn't get explored than that does get explored. Because that's just the nature of how I GM things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so session 5 prep?
Yeah.
Alright, 9 minutes, let's go.
Hello, and welcome to the session prep video for the 5th session of this D&D mini-series. This video, as all of the prep and report videos, is uploaded on my second channel. The live stream archives are uploaded on the main channel. There's a playlist linked in the description that has all of the stuff together in chronological order. If you want to have a look at a live stream live, then that is also linked in the description. So, we really don't have that much to prepare this time round, because pretty much all the stuff that I prepared for last session we didn't actually get to, and the situation is pretty much the same
and we
now
won't get
as
to for 3 more months.
No.
It's you who are
Yes,
constantly
it is.
going on about that point. That's not. I'm not saying anything outside of what I'm saying in the video. But I said that a long time ago.
Eyes.
Oh.
As we see you rolling your eyes down there in the corner.
Well, let's continue.
Yeah.
stuff that I prepared for last session we didn't actually get to, and the situation's pretty much the same now as it was then. There are only really two little things. The first one is I want to come up with a little bit of a backstory for a Sorum shell painter. Basically so that I have a rough outline of how he went from an innocent halfling to being Zinthar's minion. How did he go from that to what he is now? It needs to be a gradual process. So, firstly, there needs to be a problem needs to be created, and then a solution is offered to that problem, and then that solution has some negative side effects which are far less worse than not solving the problem that was created in the first place for which the solution is offered. If that makes sense. It could have been something as simple as Sorum being poisoned and being bedridden for a long time, getting close to death, and then a cleric who is of course already following Zinthar or worshipping gods that have the same alignment as Zinthar, shows up and offers a cure, and they would happily do that, but they need some really, really expensive ingredients to do this. And so, in that way, Sorum could then become indebted to this cleric and be in dire need of work, especially since Sorum probably wouldn't have been able to work for a long time that he's been ill for, because he's been poisoned. So Skral-Metan then offered him, just through a chance encounter, offered him some work, probably because the way I'm imagining this is that Skral-Metan is very rich, very powerful. He's got a mansion on the outskirts of the city and with grounds, all that sort of stuff. Actually, I've just had a good idea. What if he started out working for him?
Oh, go ahead.
He was a lonely only child and didn't have anybody to play with growing up, and Skral-Metan offered to make him an imaginary brother.
Oh, God.
Just offer him like a locket or something that's got like a permanent illusion spell on it.
A cufflink.
A cufflink.
That's it.
Here's a cufflink. It's got a permanent illusion spell on it. If you put it on, you've got an imagination.
You got an imaginary brother.
Oh, that's perfect.
That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You could implement that if you ever run a game.
Okay.
Outskirts of the city and with grounds, all that sort of stuff. Actually, I've just had a good idea. What if he started out working for him as someone who feeds the monsters in those mini dungeons? And by that I of course mean, here's this wagon of probably rotting meat. Drive that over into the woods there and put it down these holes. Not the cart, the meat in bits.
Yes.
Yeah, that would work. And then getting to escort people up to his manor and back down could be seen as an upgrade, as a promotion. And then maybe he started introducing some little white lies, like for example, that on the way, escorting these people up to the mansion, he could maybe mention to them, oh, that Lord Metan has hit hard times recently, and that his considerable wealth is dwindling, or something like that. So that he could get, for one thing, that Skral-Metan could get better deals, and two, to get Sorum used to lying for people coming up there. And building that relationship, he also gathers some dirt on him through that. And so that combination of, I've really built a good relationship with you and I don't want to jeopardize that, I value you as an asset, as an employee, as an asset, and also if you go against me, I have all this stuff, and also you might just disappear, could easily lead to Sorum then basically being given orders to, okay, there's a guy matching this description, find him, get him to this location, go through there, report back to me, then get him to go to this location, report back to me, and that's it. Sorum doesn't know anything more about that. So I think that that could be a reasonable gradient. And of course, I don't have to explain it in such great detail to the players if this comes up. And that is way too complicated the way that I've got it in my mind currently to put it down here. So instead, I'm just going to keep it in my mind, the vague outline of how that kind of progression goes. And then when I make up specific details during gameplay, then I'll write those down in the session notes. Speaking of which,
do what I say, or it will delete your imaginary brother.
Yeah, I mean,
Steal your cufflink.
I mean that would do it. That would do it.
Okay.
Session notes. Speaking of which, yeah, this stuff over here, that's pretty much, yeah, we only got through this bit in session 4, and this is all the stuff that I prepared. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
The other thing, the second thing is about someone maybe recognizing Carr from the night at the Skellyshine Tavern and then helping out in some minor way. Because in my report video, I did touch on this briefly, but actually now I'm thinking that as they're leaving town, a scale card could recognize them and approach them, and then off on the side, someone says, "Oh, I've been mugged. There goes the thief," or something like that, to get the scale guard's attention elsewhere, because this is more urgent, thus allowing the party to slip away. And then we could say to the party, "Yeah, you recognize that guy as one of the people who was in the Skellyshine Tavern last night. He really enjoyed your dancing." And I think that that could feel quite rewarding to the players, that something that they have done has had another positive side effect. Because oftentimes players do have negative side effects, and so it's good to bounce it out of it. So I'll probably do that. Although, am I going to just say, okay, there's a scale guard there, or am I going to tie that to a die roll? Because if I tie it to a die roll, another percentile, then, like I said before, that has to get pretty low, because the previous one was, well, the previous one was very high. It was like 96. So I think I can probably still die that to a percentile check, and just set the DC fairly high. Like something, if it's like 70 or 80 or something like that, then someone notices. It just has to be a little bit lower than what I had said before, which was nothing, but what was gotten before, which is the 96 or something. Which this is again dealing with that fake die roll, but keeping a thread of continuity with what that number was associated with, and then what logically other numbers must mean. And given that they've now spent an evening in this town and then a night, and then gonna have breakfast first, probably an hour worth of spell preparation and all that sort of stuff. Plus maybe speaking with, what was it, Alia, speaking with Alia as well, maybe. I think that's probably enough time for word to have gotten around that an Aarakocra maybe should be apprehended and questioned. The rest of the session plan is pretty much what it was before, and that is that. I'll see you in the session later today, hopefully. So, bye-bye.
Nice.
Yep. That was the session.
Yeah, let's skip that. Right, session 5 GM report. It's also about 9 minutes.
The butler, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Always like that.
Okay.
Sure.
Hello, and welcome to another GM Report video. The playlist is in the description for the live streams and the prep videos and all that sort of stuff, but you already know that. So, let's get right into it. This is for session 5. I know that this is probably an obvious one, but I made it very clear that Car following the rest of the group up to the House of Harmony is a bad idea. And I did that ahead of time before it became an issue. So, for example, I hinted at it first, and then they decided, okay, well, no, we're going to do this, we're going to stick a little bit behind. And so as they were walking up, I specifically made it clear that there aren't any places to hide going along this road, to just try to make it clear that this is a really bad idea and you probably shouldn't do that. And it worked. They didn't do that, and they didn't get into trouble because of it. So, yeah. The next thing is, which, if you have been watching the prep videos, you will already have picked up on this, but the reason why Sorum didn't want to go up to the House of Harmony with the rest of the group is obviously because, well, then his deception would quite easily be uncovered, because he said that he's already been in contact with the House of Harmony officials about going to search for his brother, and if they go up there and talk with them and they've never heard of this guy, then, yeah. Also, this is probably not the first time that Sorum has used this story, and so maybe there might already be a bit of mistrust there from the House of Harmony officials, maybe? Who knows? Right, the next thing is, when they entered the House of Harmony, I took a quick pause and I jotted down a name, which was the name of kind of the staff member, like the receptionist woman who led them into the waiting room. Because if the group had wanted to ask her questions, then it would have been good to have a name, and so I quickly came up with a name before I described the scene. Right. The next thing is, the 2 signatures that are required is something I made up on the spot, because if this was all that was needed, like he signed the contract, that's all done, then there wouldn't really be any reason for Arkan to really stick around here, since we haven't uncovered the underlying connections yet between what's happening to Arkan and what's happened to other people who entered this island. The other reason is that, like I alluded to before, is that Sorum has made up that Pral was part of the trade kind of section of the House of Harmony, and that he could help Arkan with his deals. And so, potentially being able to expedite this waiting process is a reason for why Pral may still be useful to Arkan. So, yeah, I decided to make it be 2 signatures that are required. The next thing is, I slightly misremembered Elia's backstory, because originally I said that she went, in the prep video, I said that she went to the House of Harmony temples first, but they've got a huge waiting list, and then she went to Vale Rift, and they are asking for a lot of money. But, yeah, I misremembered that and slightly, and said that the clerics at the House of Harmony are asking a lot of money to dispel the curse. And then I realized, oh, that was meant for Vale Rift. But then I decided, actually, since this is very organized, all these guilds and groups of people,
It was, but it's back again now.
Okay, should I rehost the stream?
No, it's fine. It's back again now.
Okay. Alright.
But then I decided, actually, since this is very organized, all these guilds and groups of people, the religion, the faith, would be no different. And so it would make sense that they would charge the same amount of money for the same action if they're all under the same counselor. And so, even though it was a mistake, I like it better this way anyway. So, yeah. The next thing is that the idea of Brak praying for guidance and to be pointed in the right direction is something I really like. And it's something that I've practically never, if ever, seen a cleric or paladin actually do in game. Like players use those classes' special abilities, powers that the god gives them, like the actual spells and stuff like that. But actually communicating with a god to ask for direction, that sort of thing, I think that might be the first time I've seen a player actually do that, and it's a really good idea. And so I really like that. Of course, I do have to be careful not to make this too powerful, because then they could just use it always to solve all their issues. So it needs to be vague, and it needs to be law-friendly. So maybe the gods don't like helping in mortals' affair. Maybe the gods don't like guiding the paths of mortals, because then it's basically them doing their own dirty work. I mean, that's why they have clerics and why they have paladins, so that they have these champions to do their bidding for them, and they instill power in them, but at the end of the day it's still the mortals who choose what to do. And
or
so
we just
maybe
have a bad die roll.
A friendly explanation like that or something.
Basically.
But yeah, I really like that. Right. The last thing I have is that in the moment I made up that I hinted at the Green Matriarch being a book burner, basically. Someone who deliberately destroys books and information for the sake of control and power. And so I think that fits quite well, because we know that she rules with an iron fist, basically. And we know that she likes, being a green dragon, she likes pulling the strings herself and being in control of the situation, which is why she left when she couldn't control the situation of the beholder, which she never even figured out that there was a beholder. So yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it could actually be really interesting, because imagine if there's some mystery and then they find out hints that there might be a secret library somewhere, or someone in the hills, like a farmer's cottage, is rumored to have an underground basement full of lore scrolls or something, but shh, don't tell anyone because it's a secret, you're not supposed to have that. And then actually traveling there and gaining this individual's trust and then gaining access to information, I think that could be really nice, especially since, like, here's one thing with information. Oh, there's some butterflies over there. I'm not sure if you can see them. Yeah, this is something with information. If you as GM just give out information all the time, then that's not going to be very interesting. Yes, if they are invested in what's going on, then yes, they will be interested in whatever they want to figure out, of course, but it doesn't feel special. If you have to actually earn the knowledge, then that's going to be so much more rewarding as a player and for you as a GM. Yep, that's pretty much it. The only other thing is that obviously Brak doesn't have the Dispel Curse or whatever that spell's called. Maybe they'll have to travel to the clerics at Vale Rift and convince them to do it for cheaper or in return for other services if they want to help Elea.
Which is what you did.
But yeah, that was the plan all along anyway, so that's good. So, bye-bye. See you next time.
Okay, so do we have time for... How long are the other ones?
That's
25 minutes.
12 minutes, the next one.
Yeah, I think we should have time
Yeah.
for that one.
At least for this.
Yeah.
Oh, there wasn't ever a Session 6 GM report?
Yeah, I decided to roll them into one video after a while
Are you
because...
sure?
Yeah,
Was it just not on the playlist, maybe?
I don't
Hold on.
think so. I think
I'll just quickly check, just in case it's been forgotten.
I'm pretty sure that that I just rolled it into the other video on that
Maybe.
one.
No, there it is. There it is. You apparently forgot to add that to the playlist. I've got it right here. Session 6 GM report. That's not in there.
Is that? Oh right, yeah, because I rolled the prep video into the report one. But that's true. Hold on, which because there are two playlists. Because there's the one from the main channel, there's the one from the second channel.
I don't know if it's on the second playlist.
Is it in?
It's on the main channel's playlist. It's not in there.
And on the second channel's playlist.
Hello,
Hold on.
and welcome.
No.
That
It's
is.
Session 4 GM report, Session 5 GM
Huh.
prep.
That's very strange. Because
Actually, no, there it is. It is in there, sorry.
oh,
On the
okay.
second channel it's there, on the main one it's not.
Okay, so then I must have just forgotten to put it in the second playlist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something I have to fix.
Should be easy to fix. So, I'll quickly...
The stream's been closed? What?
I know.
Cricket noise?
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, Session 6 GM report, 13 minutes. Let's watch that.
Hello, and welcome to the next GM report video. Now, I've chosen this particular spot to record this at because I was walking through here and I just happened to see dragonflies flying around, so maybe you'll be able to spot some of those in the background. Who knows? So, I've got a fair few things to talk about this time. So, the first thing is that I do think that I should probably make up a list of foods, specifically for Willis, because I've noticed that Willis has a tendency to ask for the menu, and so if I just make up a list of maybe 10-15 items, then that I think would give him a nice bit of extra immersion. So that's something I might do. Actually, if I turn a bit this way, then you might be able to see dragonflies over in those bushes. I don't know if there are any there currently or not. Who knows? The next thing is... Oh, right, I should have probably said this first. I've decided not to record prep videos for every session because for some of the sessions it's basically nothing to prep. It's only very small stuff that I don't think anybody would get a lot of use out of, and so instead I'll mention those things in the report video after the session. So one of those things is I came up with a name for the thing that Ka's friend was looking for in the island, and I've decided to call it one of the tomes of Archmagic, or Archmagics, which I've decided in my lore is going to be a series of books that were written at the behest of Mystra, the goddess of magic itself, because she really wants the use of magic to spread, and she really wants mortals to use magic as much as possible, and so it makes sense that she would order these books to be written with her own knowledge about magic in them, well, a fraction of it, of course. And these books would, of course, make it much, much, much easier for any sort of wizard or magic user who doesn't have innate magic, or even then still maybe, to increase their abilities. And so Ka's friend, being a magic user who's just beginning and learning still, this was a lure for him, and he bit the lure and there was a hook on it, so yeah, unfortunate. Right, so the next thing is the scrying targets, as I've called them, are my own invention. There's not as far as I know, there's not a spell or a wondrous item in the source material that acts like this, but in my world building I've decided that this is something that makes sense because Zinthar is using them, and the Green Matriarch was using them, and so that I think just gives a lot of storytelling potential. The next thing is the Dragon Eye not giving identifications for scrying magic enchantments is because the government uses them. So Zinthar is just exploiting this. So the Green Matriarch, and through her the council, are using these scrying objects, these scrying targets, and so they don't want their own magic shop telling people, oh yeah, people are watching you through this. And so that's why the magic shop has been told that they can't give away that these objects have scrying enchantments on them. Now, Zinthar, of course, found out about this and thought, oh, well, this is handy. I can just put this scrying magic, this really high up scrying magic that I know about, onto these objects, and the government's own plans are going to prevent them from finding out about this. So, yeah. Right. Oh yes, the gauntlets are of course similar to the headband of wizardry, which is in the divination mini-dungeon, in regards to it being a scrying target. Now, I don't know if I actually said about the headband of wizardry or not, but in the divination school mini-dungeon that the party are going to be led to, behind those locked doors where the dice thing, you know what I mean. I've decided to put a headband of wizardry, which gives a +1 to the spellcasting DC of all first level spells if worn by, well, to whoever is wearing the headband. Now, this also acts as a scrying target. It has a scrying target enchantment on it. And so this is the idea behind this is basically any wizard who gets put through this trial and who manages to come across and get to the end of that gauntlet, one of those words, is someone that Zinthar wants to keep an eye on. And so having them have this shiny object that is then a scrying target would be useful. Now, the gauntlets don't have any other enchantments on them, except that they have to stay on the individual. But maybe this is just Zinthar testing stuff. Maybe thought, well, I could put these other expensive enchantments on this so people will want to wear it, or I could just make them not be able to take it off. So maybe he's just playing around with that. But yeah, they're basically the same kind of object in that regard. Next is... All right, so in the moment, when they asked whether they could trace who the scryer is, I hadn't thought about that before. But I thought about it in the moment and have come to the conclusion that it's crucial that it's not traceable. Because if it were traceable, then, well, the government, so the council and the Green Matriarch, could just figure out which scrying objects, well, which scrying targets are their own and which aren't. In which case, nobody could exploit that. And so, since Zinthar is exploiting that, it kind of has to be the case that it can't be easily traced. Maybe there can be some high-up magic that's really powerful that can trace it, but nothing that would be readily available.
Perhaps the elves of Vish al-Bural can make it?
Can trace it.
Trace it, oh yeah. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, if not even the elves of Vish Utra...
Vishura. Wasn't it
Ra-
Utral?
Yeah, it should be. I think I misspelled it.
Maybe
if
it
not,
auto-corrected to Ural for Ural Mountains.
maybe I don't
I've
know.
No idea.
Yeah, but if not even they can trace it, who can?
Yeah. Also, Rumsbath, for to read out, said, "So many great ideas. Yes, much time."
You know, you could have made a prep video for this. Just make it like 5 seconds long, and then you just say, "See session 4 prep video."
I could have, but it would have meant setting up all the recording stuff in the other room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a 5-second gag. No,
Yeah.
you want it to be like 15 minutes long, but you want 5 seconds explaining that, and then you just want however many minutes of lift music.
With just that message looping every like minute or so. Okay, let's continue.
Also, I watched back the stream archive before these videos, but when I make my notes, and I did say about a dozen scale guard, so I did say it correctly. Right then, when Mima said, when Kango said, "I've got spider climb," thinking about
Oh
how
god, it's
to
this one.
I
what
don't
to
know.
do in response to
I
the
don't know.
situation
Yeah.
that they were in with the and that she was in the back of the shop with the scale guard. And so, because I of course want my players to succeed and to win and to escape these sorts of situations, when I heard this, I immediately thought, okay, is there a way that I could present where this could be a way out of the situation? And so I decided, okay, well, I already described the stairwell. Maybe there's a skylight at the top. And so if you could climb up there and get out that way. Because in that way, the player character's ability would be useful, plus it would be an idea that the player had come up with.
But
And
I'm
so
too nice and don't want to
that's
break
what
the
I did.
window.
I described
I know.
Aww.
That was fun though.
I'm glad.
the situation, and that, well, there is a skylight up there, and so I want the players to win, so I put in a way out. Now, I won't always do that if the players know about a dangerous situation that they're going into, and it's mostly if it's something done as a group, or if it's something really stupid, then I won't necessarily create new ways out of trouble that the players get themselves into. But in this instance, it really felt like it wouldn't be fun for anybody if Mima did actually get captured and they had to go in and break her out or get her free, all that stuff. Especially since the players had been in the city for so long and they haven't even left it yet.
Yeah.
And they were just about to leave it, and then if this happened, that wouldn't be fun.
Honestly,
So-
if that had happened, the entire campaign would have been spent in that city.
Could you have
Yep.
imagined an entire arc of just getting Mima out of jail and
Yeah. Not only do we have to get Mima's brother, now we got to get Mima too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, if that had happened, I would have placed Mima's brother into that same jail, so that
Oh, yeah,
breaking Mima out, that quest would have then doubled as getting Mima's brother out. I would have
Okay.
probably made it so that as you were gotten to jail, it was like another Phalor, put her with the other one,
Ooh.
and then you could have had some fun roleplay with
Phalor?
wasn't it Phalor?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, with your brother, and then that would have confirmed that your brother is real for one on a player level, and then figuring out. I would have come up with more tips or clues as to how you might be able to break in. We could have a whole prison break thing, and I do think that would have been fun. But
More something for a continuous longer campaign, maybe.
But the scale guard
Yeah.
saying, "Put the gnome in the cell with her imaginary brother."
but yeah.
Yeah, I just thought Mama would have reacted like, wait, Phalor, so he is here still. But yeah, Emichu says not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I put in a new way to escape the situation, basically. The next thing is, this also kind of plays into it, which is that I did play the scale guards as being a little bit stupid. Because, like, with the... Like, ignoring the fact that Arkan was speaking common instead. And not asking any further questions about what's happening. Basically just blindly trusting and going along with it. If those had been creatures with a higher intelligence score, then I would have made that more difficult, or have put a few more obstacles in the way of them falling for this ploy. But because they are reptilian, basically, and their intelligence score isn't that high, I decided, well, sure, let's just move things along, and I will still put rolls in the way, because this isn't supposed to be just, okay, you win, but I didn't make it as difficult to win as I would have otherwise made it. Also, I think my talking has scared away the dragonflies, maybe. Anyway.
And then I
did that.
Then they didn't even roll.
Do you mean?
Yeah, because I gave the 2 d20s for that.
Oh yeah. Oh right, yeah. But it was still a resource that you had depleted through that.
Yeah.
And you weren't able to use those after that?
Until the next day.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. So I did that. And I'm really quite happy that the players are burning their bridges behind them, kind of. And that they are now basically forcing themselves to get out of the city and actually explore the world and get on with the adventure out there.
Yeah, can we pause for a second?
Of course, I love the players'
Yeah, and that was one of the points where... so in a big picture sense, I do still agree with that. However, on an individual sense... Emichu hadn't actually had much, if any, opportunity to follow their own path for how they wanted Ka to do his own investigations into his friend within the city. And so now with stuff being burned behind the players, like bridges being burned behind the players, and the pressure from me with keeping the party together, especially since Ka was the one who was originally being sort of looked for by the Scale Guard, meant that kind of burned that bridge before Emichu had much of an opportunity to really explore that, which is unfortunate. But at the time, I didn't really think about that. I hadn't really noticed it that much, because in my mind, the connections between everybody's plot lines were already there, and I knew if we follow this line, then that will automatically lead onto other players' backstories. But I didn't really realize that wasn't how... That wasn't necessarily how it was from all the players' point of views.
Emichu says, yeah, he didn't really get his chance to explore the city for his friend. Others were raring to go.
Yeah. And as I'm saying in the video right now, if this had been a longer campaign, I would have let you have all the time you want to explore the city. Like you could have spent
months.
you could have spent as much time as you want exploring every little detail, and I would have been happy to expand the city and put more world building and more intrigue and more stuff into there. If that's where you wanted to take it. Yeah, I mean, if that's where you wanted to take the game as a group, if you were all happy and content with that and excited about that, then I would have been fine with that. It's just the format of the of the series that didn't really work with that
Account for
very
it.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
1 more minute left.
Yep, let's continue.
For the world and get on with the adventure out there, which, of course, I love the players exploring the city. And you know, I mean, I've talked about this before, how much I enjoy the players actually finding out about the world building I've done and exploring all these things and being really into that. But there is also something to be said for moving on with the actual plot and exploring the wider world. So both in game and in real world. So
Sure.
yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for now. I was debating whether or not to include a few bits of preparation for the next session in this video already, but considering that I'll probably have to come up with the stat blocks for the Monsters of Uncertainty, or whatever I'll call them, in Veil Rift. Because if the players don't decide to go into this dungeon that Sodom wants to lure them into, if they just continue on anyway, then, well, they'll probably arrive at Veil Rift in the middle of the night, and then I'll need those stats. So that's gonna be interesting to come up with, and so I'll do that in an actual separate video format.
You
So
got
with
plenty
that-
of time.
Good night.
Now you tell me.
It's not night yet, but good night anyway.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you still got about 2 months to prep.
Also, you were right with the night because it is night now.
Aha! Yeah. Right, so I think that's probably a good point to
Yes.
And yeah, 12 minutes
Mm-hmm.
would have been the next one. So there wasn't a session 7 prep, was there?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Was there?
I've
Oh,
no idea.
I'm gonna.
Because you did say in the
I
video.
hated the game. I hated the game that's been listed as World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's automatic. That's been done automatically. I've not had.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
I
Yeah.
left it blank, and YouTube put that in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
so
there might,
that bit doesn't exist.
yeah, there might have been, because some of these prep videos I recorded on the Friday before the session. So I recorded it all, then edited it and done all that, and then uploaded it to the second channel, put it in that playlist in the upload process. And I think what might have happened is that there just was so little time between all of that finishing and the actual session that I just forgot to put it in the other playlist. So gonna have to make sure that all of the stuff is actually in the other playlist. as
Okay,
well.
I think the other one did say 32 videos, so that's probably just that one video.
Okay.
I'll double check still, but
Thank you.
yeah. Should
Right,
be
so does
fine.
anyone have any comments about any of that stuff? Or not really?
I'm just a bit annoyed about how much we didn't do.
How much you built that we never
Yeah.
saw.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a good thing about this format, though, because this way, at least, you get to hear about that world building.
Here we get to see the behind the scenes, and it's like, so it's like, man, if we ever play again, it's like I want to make sure I look at everything.
Yeah, but you know that if you look at something, or if you're in an area, I'll give loads of different bits that you could potentially follow up on, and then as you follow up certain ones, I'm going to build those ones out. So I don't think that you could ever explore all of that stuff, because there'll always be more stuff where you can have to choose what you want to go down. You can't 100% this game.
Roomspot says, one more, pretty please, I love it. Well, we have reached the time limit. Elise, are you guys going? Bye then, see you all tomorrow for OpenGTD. Yeah, hopefully, if others are up for it.
Yep.
Emichu says, the physical appearance of the please makes no difference. Gru. I see.
Okay.
So I've just checked again. So the session 6, what we just watched, the session 6 recap is not in that playlist. Also, session 13 live streams missing, and the latest player reaction one's also missing. The session.
Yeah,
3.
just because the live streams take so long to process. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, just so you know, so you can listen back to this live stream if you've forgotten. But yeah, it's right. It's right. So yeah,
Good night, everybody.
that was fun. It was great to see all the behind the scenes again.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Spider no.
Yeah. All right. Oh,
We ne-
Blue's
we
here.
We need some fan art of the spider gnome.
Ooh.
Oh yes.
You've got to make sure to get those, like to put like between like 4 and like 8 sets of eyes on.
Ooh. Well, okay.
Okay. Good night,
Blue says
everybody.
ciao. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you for
bye-bye.
chiming in.
Goodbye.
See you
night.
soon.